interested in seeing you in a Cub Scout uniform today. I'm sure you did look good. So good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all here, to be all the guests, and of course, most importantly, our unbelievable medical students. It's so wonderful to be with you, all of you today. Today represents one of the most important next best phases of your medical journey. Getting the white coat is, indeed a vital part of that experience. Also, you don't have to think, does it match anything that I'm wearing? Because it always matches, so you don't have to worry about that piece of it. And these white coats symbolize, already to this point, the real hard work that you all have done to get just to this point. But of course, they represent also what you are going to commit to those people who you're going to see in the future, your future patients. That's ultimately, I believe, what it's about. So as dean, of course, part of my job is to always be sure we're teaching. And so a little story, I don't think I've ever told this one before, but I did find this fascinating. I learned this many years ago, that pre sort of 1870s, certainly in this country, around the world, doctors, I put that somewhat in quotes, doctors wore black, not white. And it depends on who you read, which historian, but mostly because it was kind of a somber event if you had to ever go see them, because it was not fraught with much help, often harm. Remember, many of the doctors wearing black were barbers. You can see what happened to me when I last saw my barber. So it wasn't necessarily a pretty thing to have happen. Until the mid-1800s, late 1800s, when a scientific method came into play. And again, depending on which historian you look at, the scientific method based on often Germanic, European Germanic in particular principles. So laboratory scientists always wore white lab coats. So if this was a more scientific method, that's how it was adopted. And of course, those of you who are Hopkins O-files like Roy Ziegelstein know that, of course, with Dr. Osler, Dr. Halstead, that a lot of the scientific principles upon which we think about modern medicine were done here, aseptic techniques being one of them. So for those of you who've never been up to the Hopkins Dome inside, there's that room there where Dr. Osler wrote the principles and practice of medicine, which is really the fundamental foundational textbook upon which all we think about modern medicine was constructed. So right up there. So I encourage you to go up there. So the white coat is not only an important feature of more modern medical history, sort of redefined physicians from the somber role that we were sort of stuck into, and what Roy described, I think, the patient he saw in the elevator, to a more healing role. Somebody who can be looked upon to help and to heal. And so each time you put your arms through those coming white sleeves, I'd ask you to try to make a pledge that you are here to care for patients, that I am here to see them, and I'm here to listen to them. I'm here to earn their trust, and I'll help them enjoy, of course, moving through the great milestones of curing their disease, but also to be there for them when they have a very heavy burden to carry when that's not possible. You'll still be there to hold their hand and to provide some level of hope. That's the burden we want to help them carry. So right now, of course, you're going to use a white coat, and I sort of view it like maybe a hug that you're going to get of your future self, thinking about being a doctor. It'll certainly be soon when you hit the wards, kind of like a bit of armor as you jump into your first fray with patients, and it can be intimidating, but it will give you a little bit of protection around that. But it's also a symbol of the commitment that you all have made to yourselves. It's a real honor. I think as Roy was describing, all my colleagues I know in the front row would say it is an honor and a privilege to wear this white coat. It is an honor and a privilege to care for patients who come to us in arguably the most vulnerable times of their lives. So some days, of course, that is going to be a bit challenged, being resolute, but never fear, you guys have already done an extremely great job. You've already maneuvered through college with the best scores. You have the best MCAT score. already maneuvered through the first years of medical school at this institution, so I don't have any fear about that. You are actually entering medicine, arguably the best profession there is. I think it's the most golden time to do it, and I've said this before in various venues. I think every dean of the School of Medicine would have said the same thing, but I actually mean it. That you think about what happened just because of COVID and how quickly something like an mRNA vaccine was produced, but we are not far from that for multiple other diseases. So we're right on the precipice of doing great things that have never happened before, some of which are already occurring today. But these are exactly the moments, of course, that medicine is being challenged. It's being challenged because of the pandemic. Medical care is called into question by some. Scientific truth, the truth of science, is being called into question. So it makes our jobs a bit more difficult. But of course, these are exact moments when it's important for us to suit up in the white coat and to stand up for what we know is right and what is good. And as a physician, of course, we know that Hippocrates said, do no harm, but if you read on some of the original text, it actually first says, do good. Physicians should do good, or as we would interpret that phrase. So our patients do rely on us to do good for them, to perform, of course, groundbreaking research, which advances the field, to practice the highest caliber of medicine, and provide insights about the health challenges that, of course, those patients face, but the communities in which we live and work, so we can ensure ourselves and our communities that we're providing the most equitable care to everyone who comes to see us. That's what the white coat is also about, particularly for Hopkins doctors. So even when this job is difficult, I fully believe we are the lucky ones to be able to wear this coat. So luck aside, of course, it's okay to admit sometimes that, should I be wearing this white coat? I can't speak for all my colleagues in the front row here, but at least for me, there were times when I walked under that dome wearing this thing when I was a resident and junior faculty, I have no idea what the hell I am doing at Johns Hopkins. This makes no sense. So whatever level of, what we call imposter syndrome these days, that creeps in. I do know that for sure. But, the fact is, at Hopkins, we don't really give the white coat. It's actually earned. And you guys have earned this coat. So starting today, I want to make sure you guys see yourselves as we see you, as the next great lineage of Hopkins physicians. We believe in your future. We believe in this institution, and the future of medicine, and I know I've said this in many venues, is predicated on what the students of the Johns Hopkins University do. Because you're the next leaders of medicine, and we need you. So remember, of course, always be kind, be grateful. Remember to serve your patients with humility and humanity. And remember, you got to care for yourself too, because it's at times a rough journey. But I really want to congratulate you all for today, getting to this point and receiving your white coat. And I know I speak for all of my colleagues in the School of Medicine and cannot wait to see what you're going to do next. So thank you all very much and congratulations.